Hello YouTube, hopefully all is well. Firstly, I would like to thank everyone for the support on the first video. It means a lot to me. And today I would like to go over my Eternal Weekend 2023 for North America Vintage Champs and the preparation I did for it. Before that, I would like to thank Nick Koss and the Card Titan crew for another amazing event. I've been attending Eternal Weekend since 2013, and every year it keeps getting better. Staff is great and security is top notch. The preparation I did was probably the most preparation I've done for an Eternal Weekend. So since I'm new to MTGO, did no practice there. I did majority of my testing and paper with friends at my LGS. I would ask them to build decks or proxy decks that I believed would be in abundance, and I also proxied some decks as well, and we would just run through as many games as we possibly could. I also did some testing on Cockatrice closer to the event just to get in the last few games. During my downtime at home, I would do mock games where I would take the top 20 decks and assign them 1 through 20 and then roll a d20, and that's what I would face against. Then I would take a d6, and depending on what I rolled is what I'd have to face. So for example, if I rolled a 6, that could mean that they have no threats, no permission, but I need to win by turn 3. If I roll a 1, that means they have a threat and permission, and then it just is more extensive as it goes through. It obviously, like if it's mono white, it's just a threat, no permission. Some other preparation that I do before events is I make a Google Doc. This is usually my 75 that I'm planning to run, with notes on why I choose certain cards, with notes for reasons for why I cut certain cards in matchups and why I bring certain things in. And I'll create this like maybe a week before and then send it out to a bunch of friends and have them review it. Once everything is finalized, I make a mini like little cheat sheet and I bring this to me to events. Remember, you're always allowed to have notes as long as it's not extensive, like multiple pages. Before I drop the topic of preparation, I would like to thank my friends and teammates for helping me prepare. I'd like to thank Richard, Garrett, Dave, Solly, Iman, and Spencer. Amon and Spencer were great. I would let Amon know what I wanted to play, and he would proxy them up, meet me at the card shop for a couple days, and we would just jam games. Spencer was the one who gave me the idea of making the D20 list. I would also like to thank Hunter. Talked to him through Discord a lot. He gave me a lot of pointers. Great. Everyone's great. Right here, this is my deck that I played. This is the main 60. And the sideboard is different. I decided to not run a Fatal Push and 4 ley lines. I cut the ley lines for 2 surgicals, 1 dress down, a pithing needle, and a Yixta jailer. Dress down, still up in the air if it's good or not. I think 4 ley line to the voids is just better than everything else here. And in my tournament, Leyline, the other cards did nothing, and Leyline probably would have been better. But let's get into the matches. So round 1 was versus Oath. It's all Oath lists are pretty much the stock. Justin Gennari, I'm actually level 1, attracts Oath. Round 1, I lost a die roll. This will be very common. I think I only won 1 die roll the entire event. I had a turn 2 Doomsday hand. Game 2, I had a turn 1 Doomsday hand. Just very fast match. Round 2 was versus Mono White Initiative. The round started with a deck check. If you ever get deck checked in any format, or any time you care about your cards, which should be any format, you should go with the judge for them to check your cards. You have every right to. If they tell you no, you ask for a head judge. But I went, took about 15 minutes, helped them with my deck check. When I got back, my opponent still hadn't arrived, so I was thinking maybe he had a lot of singletons, maybe it's a combo deck. It took about 15 more minutes for them to arrive, and when they came back with the judge, they said that he got a game loss because his sleeves were marked. My opponent told me his sleeves shared the same deck as a legacy deck, so that kind of gave me some thinking that, okay, maybe he's sharing fetches and duels and forces, or he's sharing like Thalias and mono white stuff. He was on mono white. Game two, he's on the play because of the game loss, and I have a turn one Doomsday hand with Force of Will backup. He mulls to 5, shows Atraxa, or shows Chancellor of the Annex, Chromox Chancellor into Mox and Archon, and I just lose. He then drops a Thalia the next turn. Game 3, he mulls to 6. I have a turn 1 Necro hand with a Sapphire as extra mana. I Necro, draw 13 cards, counter his fast mana, and then kill him the next turn. So, round 2, one of my harder matchups. Glad it sucks that I got a win through probably a game loss, but I'll take it. Round 3 was versus Doomsday. I lost the die roll. They ended up doing a fast Doomsday hand game 1. Didn't really show them I was on Doomsday, so I lost. Interesting about their list, they were running a Peak in the Chain of Vapor. Game 2, I had a Shieldred. Doomsday can't beat Shieldred. Doomsday can beat a Orcish Bowmaster, but Doomsday just can't beat a Shieldred. Game 3, they mulled to 6. During my upkeep, they go Ancestral, and I misdirect the Ancestral to myself. This game, I won because of misdirection. I just drew into Ancestral and Time Walk and just buried them in card advantage. So I'm now 3-0. Round 4, I'm versus Oath. I did some small talk. My opponent said that this was their first Vintage event. They're 4-0. So I'm thinking like, okay, if it's your first Vintage event, you're either on like a budget deck that's like no power or a Bazaar. They were not. They were on Oath. Game 1, they go and cast Ancestral my upkeep, but they let me draw. So whenever I play, I'd say untap, upkeep, draw, and I pause on the draw. They didn't do anything. I drew a card. They go Ancestral. I misdirect the Ancestral to myself because I drew misdirection. I bury them in card advantage and won game 1. Game 2, they go for Show and Tell Atraxa. I put into play Dress Down, and I lose. Atraxa just beats me down. I can't do anything. Game 3, I just had a really strong Doomsday hand with a good amount of counter magic. I think I had double counter with a turn 2 Doomsday hand. It just kind of gets there. Doomsday's pretty good against Oath because, yes, they run a good amount of counter spells, but they just have like a lot of dead cards in their opening hand that aren't blue, like Oath of Druids. Round 5, I'm versus Esper Homebrew, not a Luris list. I'm versus Esper Control. He's not on for Lavinia. He has no Hull Breachers. I don't see an opposition agent. So he's just kind of this Monastery Mentor ethereal forger deck. So I'm not really afraid. He's not even on the 4 Wastelands. So game 1, I go Probe, and I see he has 2 Force of Wills and 2 blue cards. I Doomsday. He lets it resolve. And I'm okay with this. I create a pile that can beat 2 force effects by going into double Oracle, just making him blow his cards, and I end up, and that's my goal. I go off, he has to force, I force, we counter each other's stuff, and then I'm going to cast another Oracle the next turn. He ends up drawing 2 cards that turn, which end up being force and another blue card, and I end up losing. It happens. Game 2, I just turn 1 kill with Daze backup. And then turn 3, my opponent mulls to 5, and I kill them turn 3 with Duress backup. Round 6, I was versus Agravine. My opponent was one of the nicest people I met over the weekend. They came up to me throughout the weekend, talked to me. Just super cool. When we sat down, they let me know it was their first Vintage event. Again, lights go off, budget deck, dredge deck. It ended up being a bizarre based strategy. It was Agrovine. They mulled to 6, but I had a turn 2 win. Game 2, they kept 7, which automatically makes you kind of scared. Bizarre decks that keep 7 cards are very powerful, and usually those games are just a slogfest, very difficult to win. I have a turn 2 Doomsday hand that that has Flusterstorm backup as long as my opponent doesn't wasteland me. They go bizarre, put in go for 2 root wallows, but they pitch 2 Vengevines. So I surgical extract the Vengevines in response to the other root wallow, and see their hand. They don't have anything. I think they expected ley lines because I saw Force of Vigor, and I just ended up turn 2 killing them because they never hit a wasteland. If that surgical was a ley line of the void there, the Vengevines wouldn't mean anything to me either. So it doesn't really matter. Surgical, even if I didn't have Dredge Hate in that hand, I'd still turn to kill them. So right now, I'm 6-0. I feel pretty good. Round 7, I end up playing against Oath. I'm playing versus Brian Kovold, aka Bosch and Roll. I'm gonna be honest. It's very nervous. We know each other's decks. I saw Justin Gennari throughout the day, saw his sideboard, so I kind of knew what Brian's full list was going to be. Bosch saw me at the table sitting next to him, and he knew that I was on Doomsday. Game 1, he keeps a hand that revolves around Mox Emerald, Mox Sapphire, and Sensei's Top, and he had a probe. So he kind of got to see my hand, manipulate his hand, and he had a timely strip mine. So he just kind of kept me out of the game and hard cast on Atraxa. Game 2, I just had a very strong Doomsday hand with double counter backup. Got it off early. Couldn't do anything. Game 3, this is the more interesting game. My hand is Ritual, Doomsday, Consultation, Land Fetched, and Pact of Negation. He leads with Orchard Go, so, and I draw a Street Wraith. I automatically think that he's either holding up like a Spell Pierce or a Flusterstorm, and probably has a Force of Will. So I'm going to go Dark Ritual Doomsday. He's going to counter it. If he doesn't, I put a Force of Will on top of my deck, and I cycle Street Wraith, and I have double Force going off the next turn. But he does end up flustering the Doomsday, and so now and then he goes second Orchard into Oath. So now I know that the shields are down for flusters, and he just has to have forces. So in my upkeep, I go Demonic Consultation for Doomsday. I sadly mill 36 cards where both of my oracles were in it, so I can't actually win the game. I end up fetching, looking through the deck, and conceding. My idea was I Demonic Consultation for Doomsday, hopefully hit it, not milling my oracles or my Gush, or my Lotus, and then just winning there with Pact of Negation back up and Street Wraith to cycle into the pile. Maybe I was supposed to wait and let Atraxa trigger. Maybe I was supposed to take it a little slower. In the end, I saw an opening and I went for it. Round 8, I'm still live for top 8. I'm versus Terror of the Peaks Dredge. Game 1, I lose the die roll. He mulls to 4. And in his Serum Powder, he has a Gristlebrand and a Dread Return. So I'm like, okay, he's some kind of combo dredge. But he lost his Gristlebrand, so I thought, like, okay, he just has to play it slow now. I have a turn 1 Doomsday hand where it's just Land, Lotus, Sapphire, Doomsday. And then I could just draw into, and then just win the next turn. Well, he goes second Bizarre and is able to just Terror the Peaks kill me. So that game was pretty much lost because I went second. Then game 2, I keep a 1-land hand with Ancestral, Yixlid Jailer, Demonic Tutor, and my goal is to just hit another land. I never hit another land. I wanted to go Ancestral, hit another land, play Yixlid Jailer, then Demonic Tutor for Tabernacle, and just lock him out of the game. Didn't happen. Ended up dying on turn 4, never seeing another land. So round 9, I'm now dead for top 8. I can still top 32, but I play against my worst matchup, which is Bug. Bug is just a very tough matchup for Doomsday. Game 1, I got crushed. They didn't know I was on Doomsday, though. I didn't really show them anything. Game 2, I killed them on turn 2 with Doomsday. And then game 3, I had an all-in hand with Shieldred with double counter backup, but they also had double counter backup plus a Mindbreak Trap. And then from there, I just lost. I ended the event 38th out of 385. Did a very good running. It's the highest I've ever placed on an Eternal weekend. The next day, I didn't play in the Legacy event. I just got some cards signed. I talked with some friends and vendors. And then around 11, I started the Vintage side events. I played in a total of 5 events over the weekend. The way that the side events work are they're not really timed correctly. So you need to go 2-0, and then the last round you need to draw so that you're able to sign up for the next event. So out of 4 of them, I ended up going 2-0, and the last one I went 3-0. So overall record for the weekend was 17-3-4. I think the big things that come away from the event is that I should have run the Leyline of the Voids. Maybe Dress Down just wasn't good and needed more testing, and I shouldn't have played it without testing it at all. Besides that, I got to meet a lot of great people, make some new friends. One thing that I like to do when I go to tournaments is got to stay hydrated. You got to have food with you. So I buy a bunch of snacks and I bring it in a bag. And if my opponents are looking a little bit peckish or after games or even during games, I'll offer them food. Gave away a lot of snacks, a lot of power bars to people. Got to make sure Vintage community is going strong. Some of the stuff that I ended up getting signed for some friends, I'll show you those right here. This is my Demonic Tutor. I like getting my cards doodled on and signed. Douglas Schuler was amazing. I picked up a Snow Mercy and I got that altered by RK Post. I'm addicted to the holiday promos and I'm trying to collect them all. These are the ones that I was able to pick up at the event. And these are all the ones I own. Some more signed stuff. Some beautiful double signed stuff. Kaija and Phil Foglio, I've never met them at an event before, and they were just lovely people to talk to. Great. Hopefully I get to see them again. Then, as we were leaving, it started to snow, which, from North Carolina, we don't get much snow. Really pretty. Even got to see some of wildlife walking around downtown Pittsburgh. But either way, I had a great time. I can't wait for next year. I'm hoping next year that I can attend the European Eternal Weekend as well and just practice throughout the year to complete my goal to eventually top 8/win an Eternal Weekend. Thank you for sticking to the end and watching the video. Again, thank you to all my friends for helping me prep for the tournament. Have a good night and good luck out there.